Brother Hugh, the red
Yeah.
light is on, and it's Tuesday. I got something to tell you, though.
What you got to talk about?
Are you ready?
Hmm.
From the story origins of a defining moments within a certain division, there's been a championship that has been the symbol of excellence in women's wrestling. But how does the current design of that championship shape its legacy? Who will be the next challengers? And who's vying for their place in history? And what does this reign mean for the evolution of this division? Do you know which title I'm talking about?
I do, but
Oh, do you?
I do. Um, so you just trying to say it's time to go on? It's time to get into it.
Let's get to it.
It's time to rock and roll. This
Oh,
time I'm in control.
wrong
All
company.
right, right.
Oh man, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Restaurant Presents Season 3 of Championship Culture. I'm Brandon the Guy, and he is none other than,
HASTHE to 3RD.
and don't
We
forget,
here live.
every and guess what? Everybody has a
What's that?
story. Everybody has a story. And this is no different on a Tuesday. This belt that's going to have a story. And from the intro, if you couldn't tell, we were talking about the TNA Knockouts Championship, which a belt by many names, and we're going to get to that. But brother here,
Yes, sir.
now we know March was Women's History Month, but as we know, history is history, right? Whether it's male or female, whatever it may be. And we had to continue this series of giving honor and celebration to the women that's basically shaping why we see good wrestling nowadays, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
TNA has always stood out with their knockout division, but they did something special in January of 2024. Now, I've said this before. We were all glued to the social media in January 2024 because TNA shocked the world by not only going back to the TNA moniker, but we got new championships, right? And
Absolutely.
one of those belts was the new TNA Knockouts Championship. But before we get there, how did we get here? All right. And I
Hmm.
mentioned a belt by many names. When you look at the history of the TNA, we're going to call it the Knockouts Championship. When it was first introduced in 2007, it was known as the TNA World's Championship. I'm sorry, TNA Women's
Women's
World
championship. I was about
Championship.
to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Women's World Championship. Then it changed to the TNA Women's Knockout Championship. Then the TNA Knockouts Championship. Then the Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship. Unified GFW Knockouts Championship, GFW Knockouts Championship, Impact Knockouts Championship, Impact Knockouts World Championship, and now it's known as the TNA World Championship.
They
What
had like
about
four
former?
names within like the first 2 years of existence. Golly.
Within within 2007 to 2010, um, it went through a little change because they were calling their women the knockouts, but then they finally started attaching it to the belt. And it was crazy because this was a spark for what we know and we talked about last week of the Divas division because the
Hmm.
knockouts were they had to prove something. They had something. They had a little grit to them. They had different character development. They were doing something that was on the equal playing field of their male counterparts in TNA at the time. And they were, and this is I'm going to paraphrase. They were looking good and they were deadly in the ring and they were putting on those type of things, right?
Right,
And
right.
even to the point, it helped spark their women's tag team division too, right?
Hmm.
But brother here, when it comes to the history, we're gonna get to the belt, right? We know Gail
Hmm.
Kim was the first ever champion, right?
Right.
That's the first thing. and we saw the impact that she made. But with all those name changes, with all those colors, right? Everything that happened, out of all the Knockouts Championship, we're gonna call it that for purposes. Which one was your favorite?
That's crazy because I was saving that question for you at the end.
You want to
But
save it for the end? We can
no,
save
no,
it
no,
for the
you
end.
good. You okay? All right.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
get
save
to
it
it
for
then.
the end
All right.
because I'm gonna talk about. Well, I think everybody knows this was my favorite version of this belt. The dual plated single layer, which we talked about in season one of Championship Culture, where you can
Season
go
one,
back and look at
ladies'
the
night.
playlist and see Ladies Night, when we talked about an in-depth breakdown of this belt. I do have a signature on it, but it's not a signature. It's a love message from a wrestler. She didn't put her name on there, but it's not Victoria, Tara, or Lisa, but it's a 11-time world champion. But this is a love-hate relationship with this championship because at the time it was
So you,
such a unique thing.
hold up. So you just not gonna say the name?
Uh, um, that's for another time. But this championship was unique in the fact that dual plated, the red on it just popped. What do you say about this belt? Because it's interesting. I started with this one because we're gonna go to the hot topic of the show. Hey, what say you about this belt?
I like it. It was a pioneer to what we had to what and to what we have today with most of the women's straps being on a white strap, or most of the women belts being on a white strap. I believe that was the very first one that was on a white strap in a major promotion. But we have dual plate, always looks good for the most part. The queen crown on the top to signify, of course, add that feminine touch to it. Um, the gold and silver complements each other perfectly well. With the red TNA logo, we had, of course, you got the stones on there, but
Yes, I'm missing a
classic,
stone.
simple, right? Classic, simple. But if you notice, if
Regal
you pull
looking.
it back, pull it back a little bit, pull it back, pull it back. There's no knockouts on there. It just says women's champion. That's it. And as we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but that's been that way for what? How many years? About what was it? About at
Mm,
least 10 years. It was a decade.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was a
talk about
decade.
2018.
11 years maybe. 11, give or
Mm.
take. So yeah, but yeah,
So it's
simple to the point. Is one of my favorite designs, honestly. But yeah.
yeah, and I think the dual play to help give it that regal look, that design with the reefs around it, the like and then the Greek reefs that they used to wear for the gladiators and things like that. And like that gave it a softer tone with the crown. But
Hmm.
the reason I said that one because when TNA went back to its TNA moniker, you saw
Yep.
a lot of things happen within this belt. And I'm gonna try to make sure the glare doesn't hit, right?
You good.
Um,
You good so far.
brother here,
Hmm.
let's break this down for the people the way that you did. And I'm gonna try to hold it steady so that way you can. Which way you want me to start?
That's good right there.
Okay.
Basically, it's a modernized feel of its predecessor, or the one that began it all, which was the one that we just showed you. It's all gold. All to me, gold looks good, and it signifies being a champion more than a silver belt or any other color belt. So that gold touch is perfect. It's a touch back to the other belts that we're going to speak on a little bit later, the other designs, which started with 2017.
Hmm.
Same main plate, same shapes, 5 plates. Like you said, it went back to the same TN or the old school TNA look, with the red and gold complements, but the red and yellow complements the gold perfectly on there. The white strap, it just hits. It just hits different. So overall, it touched base on. It gave it a more modernized feel, and it touched base on a lot of the recent designs in Knockouts history.
And just for those people viewing, there will be a couple things posted on social media with some up close pictures so you can really see the details in it. But I do want to ask Brother Hugh to say, um, how about win the championship and where women is? What's so special about that?
I'm sorry.
What's so special about where champion is and where women is in this belt in a comparison to the first belt, the
Well, the
original?
first belt, like you said, the first belt, it didn't have knockouts on it. It
Hmm.
was a knockout. It was called the Knockouts division, but this belt signifies right now that it is the Knockouts division. Plus, as you can see, it says it's the World Championship, not just Knockouts Championship, like the recent titles from what was it 2017, 2018. It lets you know straight up. Look, this is the Knockouts World Women's Championship. So that's the difference between that and any other belts that they had in from our recent memory.
And the good thing is the champion banner at the bottom is the same, and it actually says Knockout World
Hmm.
champion, not just one or the other. So that was the one unique thing. They said, you know what, let's put it all together. The banners at the bottom that say champion, because on all the belts they always kept the champion at the bottom because TNA doesn't use side plates and they don't use nameplates either. You know, you just
Right,
know
right.
when you look at it that is the champion, which I think is a good thing because without a shadow of a doubt, you can look at this and know she's the most important woman in that division, and the tag belt are separate because they're equal playing field where the red belts are for their tag division period, whether it's male or female.
And
And
silver too, right? Second place.
mhm,
I mean,
yep,
that's the way I think about it. If you think about it,
that's
it's
a
just
good
secondary title, to be
that's a
honest.
good way of saying it. That's a good way of looking at it. I never thought about it like that. And the globes being red on this. When the original the gold was black. I think the red is a nice
A
unique
nice
touch
touch.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even having the TNA logo on the side. And one thing I love because NXT did this where they didn't need stones because the design led for a unique look. So when the light catches it, it looks like it should have stones around the edges, but it's okay because the design. In New Japan did it a little bit on version 4 of the belt, and if you look at version 5 or the current World Heavyweight
Hmm.
Championship, they have the design around it that you don't need stones. But honestly, if it did have stones, it'd be kind of cool. AEW shows you that you if you go stone heavy, you go stone heavy or none. But this
Right,
belt, the design doesn't need stones because of the
right.
indentations of it, which is always a good thing. So, brother, here, you know
Hmm.
what I'm going to ask you now, all right? You
Who
already
knows?
said you loved it gold, right? What if the belt was silver? Would you still love it? Because before you say
Wait,
that,
this. Oh, go
this
ahead.
belt, if they would have kept it silver like its predecessors, right? Would you have loved it because you like that exhibition belt in silver? And like you
Hmm.
said, second place. But do you think this was a good change to put it back to gold?
On a white strap, it don't hit the same. It don't hit the
Okay.
same for me. To be honest, like I said, you want them to know that you're the champion without it even being said. Like if you're from afar and somebody look at you, like all right, they're the champion for sure because gold signifies what? First place, right? The top of the game. So that right there with the white, it looks so much better than a silver and white. Even though I do love my championship culture belt up there, that one looks pretty cool on the white strap. But overall, I like to have more gold on the white. It just pops better. They blend well together as opposed to like a silver on a light strap like that. Usually you would want to do like your lighter colors or lighter, on a darker strap so it can pop more. So like your silver plate on like a black or a blue strap so it can pop more as opposed to, what I'm saying, putting it on a lighter strap because it tends to blend.
Okay, good point. And you already said about the strap because we often ask does the strap matter, and in this case it does because the white has now become synonymous with women's division, which I think
Right,
is a
right.
great thing because it gives it a unique identity and a unique feel that now if you put something on a white strap, it doesn't mean it's women's belt, but when you see the white strap, it's probably a women's championship, right? So
Absolutely.
now let's compare this to the other belts, right? Right before this belt, we had the Knockouts Championship that was red. It went through identity crisis too because TNA went through identity crisis where it was the silver with just the red on it, right?
Hold on. You just gonna skip past the other ones?
I was going to reverse.
Or
I'm
you
going to
oh
reverse
okay,
it.
all right, my
I'm
bad.
going to
Okay, go
reverse.
ahead. Do
So we
your
had
thing, do your
this
thing.
one, right?
All right.
Then prior to that, which was the first time when Impact, broke off from somebody that we're going to get to, then we had the blue. Same exact belt. They just went from blue to red, right?
It reminds
Now
me
I'm
of
going
a
to use
broken mirror.
because each part from the center
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was it's broken down. Now, don't get me
yeah.
wrong. This belt has a lot of details. It actually says KO for knockouts. It has the
Yep.
owl, which was anthem symbol.
That's right.
Impact
Yeah.
Wrestling. smack dab in the middle.
And
Um,
that's the first belt that says knockouts on it, actually, right?
and that was when Impact broke away from GFW for that brief period of time. 2017 was a weird year for them.
All right.
2018. Now, besides it being red or blue, did you prefer this design or did you prefer the new design? And
The new design.
wh- why the new design?
It just looks so much better. The details in it is more defined. Um, like I said, the gold complements the white perfectly. I'm not too much of a big fan of a silver belts in general, but yeah, overall, the white one is bigger, is more defined. I feel like it represents the females a little bit better. It has like a
And
prestigious look or touch and feel to it more than that one. That's a little bit more simple to me. That's like a simple design to me.
and remember, we used to see this. Like, imagine this when it's around Jordan Grace's waist. You saw
The
all of
regular,
the
yeah.
belt. When she came down,
Hmm.
you just saw because it was so many plates. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like the I don't want to sound harsh, but before she got muscular, Jordan Grace, and even like Deanna Purrazzo, um, Tyra Valkyrie, where she had it, it just looked like it didn't have enough center plate. It had more side plate than center plate, if that makes
exactly.
sense.
Yeah.
Because
You
it
see
felt like it
how,
was all
yeah.
side plates. It was so many. Because it felt like, okay, I get the idea, but your center plate was so small as compared to this. The side plates complement it, and the center plate is the focal point. So when a champion is doing the thing and they holding the belt up, that's what you see. You don't see a whole bunch of side plate. You literally see the center plate with their talking trash for it, right? And
Hmm. Hmm.
as we compare these championships, let's go to the dark days, 2017.
Mm.
Ooh, so in 2017, we saw that GFW and Impact Wrestling had merged. And with a merger, we always get new belts, right? And at one point, it was a unified belt, then it was just a GFW, then it went back to being knockouts. But this belt had a kind of identity crisis, right? Brother
Yep.
Hugh, let's talk about the identity crisis as we go back in time to compare current championship to the GFW versions, as we're gonna call it, right?
All right. So we're going in reverse order. So we're going to do it this way. Boom.
Mm, so, as the story goes, GFW was leaving their partnership with Impact, and Impact needed a world title. So instead of them commissioning another belt, or they commissioned another belt, but to have it in time for TV, so they wouldn't get sued and all that, they just slapped Impact right across the front. If you ever see this belt,
Literally.
this was their title for a little bit, but it was literally the GFW um, Women's Championship. But they just slapped Impact Wrestling on it.
This was
Now,
was this was in use for like maybe like 4 months, maybe if that,
if even that, it was like the end of 2017 to like the beginning of 18, I
of,
believe.
of 18. Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. Yep. But the
All
predecessor
right.
to that is, as you can see, it's the same exact design. Only difference is Global Force is in the middle, and it has the green logo. It has the green trimming around Global Force. It's their first belt to have both promotions on the same belt, but you can see on the side plates Impact on the left side if you're looking at it on screen, and then Global Force on the right side. It's the same exact belt, a little bit more detail from on the newer version of it where they put the Impact. You can see there's a little
Mm,
bit more detail on the side plates a little bit. It's a little bit more defined, but for the most part, copy and paste. They just changed it to Impact. That's it.
mhm. And then we go back and we wonder with the
Okay, I
wrong
found
side.
it.
No, it's on the wrong side. Then as we go back, we saw something different when they took the dual plated away, had the black strap. It was definitely unique. I did not prefer this version because I thought it was nothing wrong with the first one. And the blue crown really didn't set it apart, but it felt like it was, I don't want to say a downgrade, but it was a sidestep from what we had to this. And like I said, nothing major different besides just now being gold on a black strap with blue.
Fully
Any thoughts
gold,
on
yeah.
this belt? Yeah, any thoughts on this?
Well, like you said, it wasn't really a downgrade. It's a side step because it's the same thing. But that move was made definitely just because of marketing purposes. The brand changed their colors to blue. and they just went with that blue backdrop. So they decided to go with the black strap with the blue outline to it. I prefer the white strap with the gold and the dual plated the dual plated look.
The
Boy, it's
oh
crazy.
man. Hmm.
Nah,
And I
the
bet
dual plated look.
Justin agrees with you because he said a white strap overall.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But
So
actually, some of my favorite girls wore that blue one,
I was gonna
the
say
blue and black.
you ready to talk about that? Oh, let's
When
rest
I
on that for a
saw
second.
when I see that, the first person I think about is Jade.
And who's Jade?
Oh, Mi Chen, or what she go
Uh
by
huh.
now? Oh yeah, she go by Mi Chen
Nietzsche.
or BAM.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. Come on, was she the one that wore his best? 'Cause I think she
Ah,
was.
come on, bro. Come on. Let me see. For
So
me,
that
yes.
version. Okay,
For
fair.
for personal reasons, yes, yes.
And I think I agree with you for personal reasons because this is the
Yeah.
first time she was a world champion on a major platform, and it was like
Hmm.
you celebrate like yeah she did it, so we're going to be biased because of the simple fact this was a big deal for her. Yeah, name change and all, but we knew it was me and Yum, and we were all gunning for it, saying yeah she did it, she's the champion, and
Right.
it was some controversy around when she lost it because of the storyline and everything like that. But can't say she wasn't a champion. She held the belt. Well, I
That
mean,
right.
and this was the time when you had Maria Canales, Gail Kim still in the mix, Brooke, Tara Terrell, who was the former Tiffany and WWE Havoc. I
Hmm.
don't know if anybody remember her, Angelina Love, Madison Rain. So she was there with the true knockouts division, and
And you
she,
also had Allie too.
yeah,
Allie was another
eh,
one that I was a fan of. Yeah.
she didn't let it be. It wasn't like them versus us. It was no, I'm on the playing field with them. And that's the one thing I
Right.
can say about the knockouts division. It was, no, we're fighting for the title. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're less than me or I'm more important, even though we knew Gail Kim was a legend in the making. Because by that time in 2016, she had already been Impact for 7 years in the knockouts division. You know what I mean? She was already on, I think, number 6 of her title reign around
Yeah, it
this
was on the
time.
six. It was on the six
Yeah.
at that time.
So you knew Gail Kim was the standard for the division. And I'm not taking away from any other women, but you had people like ODB, Mickey James, of course, Tara, I gotta say Tara, um, Velvet Sky, Angelina Love, all of these type women making this division something to watch.
Hmm.
And I would to say, I think we're going to say, I think Meechin wore it best because that's our unbiased way of saying it. But now, brother Hugh,
Yes, sir.
when we talk about title range, we got to do this real quick, right?
Hmm.
The most title reigns, Gail Kim, of course, with 7. Close right behind her is Angelina Love. Do you remember who's right behind them with 5 reigns? Because there's 3 of them.
I mean, first of all, judging by the big smile on your face, it's probably Tara.
Uh-huh.
Um, don't get me lying. There's
Mickey
Awesome
James.
Kong, awesome Mickey James, but Awesome Kong is not in that yet. She ain't did it
No,
5 times, did she? She was
she
like
had it twice,
3.
but she had it.
What was it,
She
2?
had long title reigns. Remember, she had it
Okay, yeah, that
twice.
yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
But she
You're
was
right.
Gail
But
Kim's
yeah,
first dance partner. That was a
I
heck of
don't
a
know the
time with
other
them two
one. I don't know the other one, but Mickey James and yeah.
at Madison Rain. And when you look at this belt, because even ODB had it 4 times. Um,
Mm,
One of your favorite CM 2 times. Um,
Sue Sue.
hmm Deanna Perrazzo and Jordan Grace had it 3. And as we talk about Jordan Grace, when Trinity Fatu was the last holder of the silver belt and became the first
Hmm.
holder of this one, I don't think that anybody else could have taken it off her but Jordan Grace at that time.
That is true.
And even to see Jordan Grace come through, what is it called? The Forbidden Portal or what was it calling it? What are they calling it? The transfer portal,
The
whatever it's
transfer
called.
portal, whatever. It's some type of
She
window.
came to WWE. Let's just say
Right.
that. It was a big deal. And because she not only beat Trinity for the belt, and she was the champion. And this was a different version of Jordan Grace because she had already been champion in her own right 2 times prior, but this time felt like it was a different Jordan Grace, right?
Yeah.
And even to the point that for her to drop it to the prohibited, thank you, the prohibited portal. I knew it was called something. But we saw her drop it to Marsha Slamovich and she pick up the ball and run with it. And when we ask these questions, the next champion, I don't know who could be Marsha Slamovich for it. I don't.
That's yeah. I don't know. I was looking at the roster and I'm like, to me it's kind of slim. And the good thing is that they have this relationship with the WWE now. So maybe we're going to start to see something where we get that first change, that first title change in between brands. So maybe we have like a I don't know, the first person that come to mind is Soul Rugo or somebody like that. I don't know. That's who's been fighting. Even the Cora Jade at that time, she's a big enough name to do something like that. To go over there, win the title, bring it back over and be like, look, talk our smack, get ourselves over even more on NXT, and then we can create more matchups between NXT and TNA. But
Mm.
just strictly on the TNA roster, it's tough because looking at the roster, it's kind of slim on the women's side. It looks like it was only about maybe 15 women, if that, on there on the roster right now. So
And
Masha
TNA
Slamovich
does.
is yeah, she was definitely the best choice to take it off of Jordan for sure. She's most credible from what I feel, but yeah, most definitely they got to find some more competition, more dance partners for her right now.
And they will. TNA always does that when they have those low points where they're like, we're going to rebuild. And they always bounce back. And when they bounce back, it's always like, oh, this is
Right?
a good, you know what I mean? It always is a shot of adrenaline. And they bounce back. And their low points don't last for too long, which is a
They
good
don't.
thing
They
about
don't.
the knockout division because the knockout division has always been just like the X division. Like, what did you say about the X division before? You said
Oh,
that.
it's a better division than the heavyweight champion. It's a better title than the heavyweight champion. It's a better lineage. It's more
Hmm.
prestigious.
In the knockout division, because the women in the knockout division are literally, if you take WWE out of the equation, those are the women of the women in wrestling. Like the who's who of women wrestler went through the knockout division.
That is
Now,
true.
of course, now we have AEW in the forefront. But if you think about it, where did we get a Deanna Purrazzo from? You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
where do
Exactly.
we where do we see Chelsea Green really home in who she was outside of GCW? She went to TNA and look what we're doing. We're enjoying that. And Jordan Grace, she's clearly now she got the machine behind her. It's because of the work that she did back there. Because I'm gonna tell you
Absolutely.
this: if you want a good match, Deanna Purrazzo versus Mickey James, can't miss.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't argue with that.
yeah. Um, Gail Kim versus anybody on that roster. Rosemary versus anybody as well, because Rosemary has a good knack for putting over people before she puts over herself, and that's why I appreciate Rosemary so much. Um, and the
Right.
last one, Velvet Sky did more of the putting over, but Angelina Love was kind of like the Charlotte Flair of that division. Like when in doubt, give it to Angelina, because you knew what she could do. You knew that she would bring the eyes, she would back it up in the ring, and she always could be a good storyline. Which a lot of these matches were always centered around the storyline, which was great because we remember those moments, like when Michi got screwed out of the title. We remember those moments. When Tara held it for a few days because it was going back to Velvet Sky, and it was always like a thing because she beat Miss Tessmacher, which we were like, thank God she beat her. But it was one of those
Right.
things like, okay, transitional champion just went back, not a problem, because it always furthered the storyline. ODB vacated the title for I shouldn't say stupid reasons, for storyline reasons, but then got it right back. It was those type of things. And when you talk about the next champion in TNA, I think the TNA Knockout division is in a good place that they can now lead on WWE because we got NXT, Evolve, and Legends Future Greats that probably could filter through that because next in line is that guaranteed for WWE?
Yeah. Right.
We
Right.
don't know.
Right.
They just had a contract. What if their contract is up and they wind up in TNA? I'm just saying we got a lot of great talent out there, but they got a lot of great talent that they got to stand on the shoulders of because these women paved the way for what we enjoy today.
That's why I
Brother
was
here.
it was surprised that Gail got fired. 'Cause like I said, once again, I'm looking at the roster again. You have talent on here, and under the right tutelage, they can definitely become biggie stars and end up in WWE one day or end up somewhere else and pave their own way. But I don't know. It's still kind of iffy, but I think WWE, they're in good hands with WWE with the
Hmm.
cross branding and whatnot. So yeah, we'll
And I
see.
think it'll help. It'll help them in the long run for, and I'm talking about the knockouts division. That's what I'm saying. Like when a Saraya leaves AEW, her home should wind up being in TNA because there's so much that she can do inside and outside of the ring for that division. I didn't want to see Gail Kim leave. I thought Gail Kim was going to retire from TNA. I really thought she was going to be one of the ones like, yep, she's done. She's all, she's retiring. And look at the historic career that she had inside and outside of the ring. Because whenever you
Hmm.
leave and everybody, not one person said anything negative, nothing but praised her, that tells you the impact that she's had. All pun intended.
Hey, right, right.
So here,
Yes,
last thing
sir.
I'm gonna ask you. Do you know the story behind this belt? Because everybody
No,
has a story.
what's the story behind this belt, sir? I know you got some.
So
You
when I
got hype and
first saw,
stuff. Go ahead.
no, stop it. So when I first saw it, remember, I was like, the X Division was hands down the best looking one, right?
Hmm.
It was at the Royal Rumble when I saw it on WWE TV. I said, why does that belt look so amazing? Why does that look like that could be anybody's world championship?
That is
Which
true.
tells you the details and the difference in the production because I'm not down in TNA, I'm not at all. But it was just something different about how the light was hitting it, the clarity of it. If it looked like it was an important deal, not that Jordan Grace was there, but because that championship was there. And I was like, yeah, I gotta get this belt. I got to. Hence why I got it because the details do not disappoint.
At all.
In this championship, I think this will be a title that you don't need to change it. It could still be 5 years from now, still look the same and it still had that same feel. Kind of like how the IWGP version 4 always felt like it was like the most important belt. It felt like, okay, I need to get that belt because of the lineage and the look and what is behind it. So I feel like this is the belt they finally figured out because when we went from our original Good and Faithful, oops, our oops, I'm dropping it. Our original of this version to
Hmm.
this, it feels
Hmm.
like the spiritual predecessor of it.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but I do have to ask
You,
you.
you couldn't come out. You couldn't come out with a better design for it. Actually, as far as all of their belts to go with the rebranding of TNA, right? Or the relaunch of TNA.
Oh
They
yeah,
had the best belts in the business, design wise. To be honest,
Zebro did a heck of a job with these. And
Hellfire Designs. Yeah,
Hellfire, I'm sorry. Yeah, because he said Gail Kim is going to be a major asset for whoever she ends up with.
absolutely.
She, yes, whoever picks her up, and I'm not saying you have to be WWE. Um, they're going to get they're going to get so much off in that division because of what she brings. So, and I think it's more than just a division. I think it's just wrestling overall. Because I think that at this point, um, it's becoming just to be wrestling, whether it's male or female. It's just good because everybody said the same thing. They just want to see good wrestling. They just want to
That's
see
it.
good matches, and it's we feel kind of like, ooh, the women had a better match than the men. No, it's okay. It was a good match. You know what I mean? Like so, that's what I'm looking at. But last question here. I know we only had three champions to hold this belt, right? Out
Hmm.
of those three, who wore it better?
Come on, man. I'm black, so I gotta say no. Sorry, no, I'm messing with you. Oh man, I would say, dang, that's tough because there's only two people that come to mind for me right now, and that's Trinity and Jordan Grace. I would say, as far as carrying the company and having it in the spotlight, it's probably Jordan Grace. As far as someone that was credible enough to hold it as the first champion, Trinity. But I feel like that was a stepping stone for her to get back into the WWE. To be honest, I love that for her though. I'm going with Trinity because I loved it for her because that was a chance for her to show like, look, I can wrestle. I can go out here and I can do this thing. It's been how many years since I've been in that championship spotlight? I was over in WWE all that time, and and I won my championship, and then after that, it was just kind of like just floating. It was just in the middle of nowhere. She was putting on, she was doing her thing, but she just her storylines weren't really mixing well and whatnot. So I just felt like the fact that she went over there and she had the opportunity to really show her stuff on her own without that WWE backing, it meant something. So I'm gonna go with Trinity over Jordan Grace right now. It was a
So am I.
resurgence for Trinity. It was a resurgence for Trinity
And I
for
will say
sure.
this, I'm gonna agree with you because of who she beat for it. Because remember, Deanna Barrazo was the it factor
Yeah, she was at that time.
between, think about it, all the stuff she was doing ROH / AEW, all the stuff she did with TNA. She was the what, and it was like, okay, I got it, we get it. She beat one of the biggest stars in TNA, who was only, if you say Jordan Grace and Deanna Purrazzo at that time, and Mickey James, it's like one A, one B. It was no 1, 2, or 3. It just depends on what day of the week it was. So I'm gonna say she wore it better because of the simple fact that who she not only she beat on the way out the door, because as we know Deanna was leaving, but that whole aspect of the combination of, look what I can do. I'm still Naomi, SmackDown Women's Champion. I still can hold the title and be as relevant and being as important as I know I should have been this entire time. I think we're about
Absolutely.
to see a resurgence by
Oh yeah,
SummerSlam with Trinity.
yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, Naomi. And last one, I gotta ask you, who won it better and why was it Tara?
I don't know about that. I was gonna say Gail Kim. My bad. I'm just no disrespect.
Okay. All
It's
right.
just yeah. Well, my question to you is, what we had, what, five different iterations of that championship? Hold on. Technically five, if you don't count the GF, the Global Force days. But if you was to rank them, you know, least to the best, how would you rank them?
So least would this is easy. Least would be the blue because I didn't like the silver and blue, the knockout one.
Hmm.
This would be least
2017, yeah.
only because I blue was my least. Right after this would be the red, would be the next one.
Hmm.
Then I'm trying to get them to then this one, only because of I can't deny what it did and during the time frame it did. So this will be number three. It is gonna be tough. I want to make this number one because it's the OG, but it's got to be number two.
Okay.
And it's hard because it's the OG, and you know what it meant to me with TNA. And then of course
Hmm.
number one will be the current design, because just some about this design, like even with the first version, if the first version was out right now, only thing I would say is make it a little bit bigger, as in the center
Hmm.
plate just slightly bigger. Um,
Hmm.
but this just feels like a world title in comparison to this. This looks like this should be the secondary title if you compare it to this. That's the only reason this is number two and this is number one.
Now I ask you this all the time, Mr. Belt designer. If you can make any changes to that belt, now you don't have to, but if you can make any changes to that belt, what would you do?
For this one,
What would be your own touch that you would add to it?
so I knew you were going to ask that, and I'm gonna tell you the only thing I would do, and see how in the center plate we have black on it, right?
Yeah,
Around the banner, the black and the designs everywhere that goes along with the banner. I
yeah.
would like to see black at least around the globe part or
Hmm.
some kind of outline here. And the same thing here, because then it will pull your attention more to the TNA and it will pull your attention more to the globe. Because whenever it comes to a championship, when you have your globe, you want it to be known as the world champion. And I would just want some kind of like how the black is around the banner. I want the same thing here and somewhere around this part to draw your eyeball to the TNA. Because at least on the center plate, you have total nonstop action above it and below it. I would just
Yeah.
like to see something else to draw your attention to it to say, oh yeah, because yeah, the red and yellows there, but I just would like a little bit of black in here some kind of way. That's the only thing I would change on this.
Oh
And the
my
reason
gosh.
being,
No stones. No big
no,
red stone right at the top.
no,
Right there at
because
that space.
stop it. Because remember on the original, the globe was
Yeah.
black, but the dual plated added emphasis to it. So that's
Hmm.
why I'm saying like, and yeah, it was only a three belt one. I mean, three plate, but I feel like it drew your eye right to it. Like you knew
Yeah,
this was the world champion. So yeah, no
makes sense. Makes sense.
stones, no stones. Is there a
Great, great,
tip?
great.
Yes, it's. I just got a basic tip on there because if you really can't see from TV, if it has a TNA tip like they did for the other belts where it had the TNA on the side or like how ROH did it, I couldn't tell what the tip was, Justin. Um,
Everybody in the comments, leave y'all rankings for this championship on there in the comment section for us.
yes, and trust me, when you put your comments, we will make a comment back. But I would definitely say number one is the current one. Brother Hugh, I think we talked about this belt in a only championship culture can do, right? I
Hmm.
think we broke
Hmm.
down the design, said what's next, even talked about some of the and yes, there's only been a few notable champions. But if you go back and watch the other shows with Ladies
I was
Night,
about to say.
you'll hear a little bit more about those different versions of which featured Miss Stephanie Hardy from the Hardy podcast. Um,
We
Brother
broke
Hugh,
down the
any fun?
lineage of most of those titles in that.
Hmm.
Ladies Night 1 and 2, episode 1 and 2. I think one was in season 1 and one was in season 2. So,
Yep. Here we are at season three, finishing off the legacy because hopefully they don't change this thought anymore. But we will see more
right.
people come with it. Maybe by the end of 2025, we'll be saying a WWE person is the NXT, I'm sorry, is the TNA Knockouts champion. Who knows?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
any final thoughts on the belt, brother? Here,
I do not have any final thoughts. Beautiful belt. Like you said, I hope we keep it. Don't make any changes to it whatsoever. It's rather new, so I
Mhm.
don't think it's going anywhere for sure. Um, but yeah, I'm just hoping that we get a little bit more out of the actual knockouts division. And only time will tell with that. Like I said, we got talent down there, so we'll see.
I can't wait to see what the future holds for this women's belt. And will we see it more in media because TNA is gaining steam and they keep getting upward momentum. I would love to see it in the media more. But here, brother, here, tell them where they can find us.
They can find me at HASTAT to the 3RD on IG, all social media platforms. And this guy, Brandon the Guy at Custom Guy 913. You hear me? You can't
But
hear
wait
me?
a
Oh,
minute,
all right, okay.
I can't.
Yeah.
But no, did you see? I was looking at what Justin said because that is true. The current title feels like the final form of the TNA Women's Championship,
Evolution. There it is, bro.
and that is the
That,
evolution done
that's that.
right.
There's that Charizard.
Oh, look at you know it's supposed you are.
Final
So
form.
make sure you comment your thoughts and any questions because trust me, me and Brother Hugh will be happy to answer and engage in the comments. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm sorry, so that you never miss a time when we go live, or you never miss a new episode of Championship Culture. Follow us on all social media platforms, like you said. Tune in every Tuesday, 8 p.m. for the next episode of Championship Culture. And until next time, keep your eyes on the goal and remember, every belt has a story.
Season 4 coming soon.
Go over to Instagram and follow us at Championship Culture _. And don't forget, check out youtube.com/the Wrestling Run. Look for the playlist for Championship Culture. And remember, every belt has a story.